Having said that art is there in the service of people and of society, they then say, oh, well, you must then tell society what it must do to be saved. Now, that's not really what art does. It doesn't tell you what to do in that literal sense.
For over 30 years, the Nigerian writer Chinua Achebe has been at the forefront of African literature. Since his first novel, Things Fall Apart, his books have sold millions of copies worldwide and been translated into dozens of different languages. He is above all a teller of stories, and the stories he tells are an intimate reflection of his people's history. Nigeria is a volatile society. The boundaries drawn up with imperial arbitrariness by the colonial powers encompass many tribal groupings. The three largest are the Yoruba in the west, the Hausa in the north, and the Igbo, Achebe's people, in the east. The trouble with Nigeria was a rare foray to directly political writing. Achebe is not by nature a polemicist. He is the observer, the quiet voice of integrity. But he does regard his work as inevitably political.
Well, that doesn't mean political parties. Politics as the organization of society and the rules and the theories and the philosophy behind the organization of a good society. That's really what I mean. And I think you can do that by teaching and writing just as much as you can by organizing a party of your own. I'm not underrating the importance of political parties, but I'm just saying that that's not really where I think I could do the most good, if I'm doing it good at all. When I was younger, an adventure story was simply an adventure story, and if there were good white people surrounded by cannibals or savages, my sympathies would go with the good white people. I mean, I didn't see any problem there. Later on, I began to see that these stories were in fact saying more than they appeared to be saying when I was younger. And then I read them more carefully. And I began to feel and to think that every people must tell their own story.
Achebe's recreation of a past society in Things Fall Apart was infused with his childhood experiences in the village of Ogidi in eastern Nigeria. He still has a house there and is president of the village union. During festivals such as Nuafo, which celebrates the end of the season for planting heavy crops, ancestral spirits appear in the streets as masquerades of all kinds. Ancient mythic figures, or, just as likely, a reincarnate traffic policeman.
I was baptized Albert Chinua Achebe. The Albert I dropped. Chinua Achebe means may my chi fight for me. My chi is the representative of the Almighty assigned to me when I set out to come to the world. In the Igbo cosmology, every individual is unique in the sense that every man or woman is assigned a unique God agent to accompany him or her through her life. And her life is a success or a failure according to how good is the relationship between you and this God agent.
Achebe was brought up as Anglican Christian, but traditional culture and the ancient folk tales he heard caught his imagination just as much as Pilgrim's Progress or the magical prose of the Bible. At the crossroads between the old and new cultures, it was finally the power of story itself that inspired him.
Stories define us. People have their story. If they stop telling themselves who they are, I think they will disappear. For instance, this town, the town of Odi, has its own stories of how the first king was driven away because you You saw the kola nut ritual. It is the basic religious performance of our people. It's used to call God into our lives. Its own ceremony is broken with a hand or with a knife. But this king broke it in his mouth, and the people were incensed because this is an insult. So this king was driven away. So the culture then creates stories which define this process. A good culture would already know the weaknesses of those who live under it and will attempt to correct those weaknesses. The nature of Igbo society itself is politically is a kind of democratic sense. Every person feels himself to be as good as the next, because you see, nothing is known for final. If you're a big man today, tomorrow you may be a poor man, you see. But then you will immediately set up the notion of the individual and the community. And they say immediately that no matter how strong or how powerful a man may be, he is always less powerful than his people. And so the art of Igbo people is the art of the community. In response to this pressure on the artist to tell us what to do to be saved, and he's saying, think. No, this is all. Think. All I can do is to open up, describe the problems even. This is why he gives a headache, because people don't want to think. People want to be given, to be told what to do. And we must not, preachers, of course, do that. They tell them what to do to be saved. But that's not, artists are not Sunday school preachers.